Maverick. I actually don't know how this matchup goes, though I'm not too surprised to see the 1 next to Feline's name. Also, looks as though being targeted by a duress going to lose a time spiral here, but being up a game for High Tide, not too surprising.
Typically, you know, this matchup game 1 is going to be very good for High Tide. There's only a couple cards that matter in the Maverick deck. Thalia, most notably, and whatever other hate bears you bring to the table. Gadok T can be good disruption as well. Post-board, the Maverick decks can really load up, particularly now that they're playing black. You have access to things like Duress, Cabal Therapy, Thoughtseize, which you didn't have before when the deck was just green and white. But it's still definitely an uphill battle.
We'll see what Belfatto can put together here. Here's a Thoughtseize. It looks like it's going to be a brainstorm in response. So Longmore is going to hide a couple of cards here from the discard spell and try to work towards that critical mass of blue cards. And here's the hand. It'll be 3 islands and a polluted delta. Nice.
Does not mean the coast is clear. Michael, unlikely to die next turn, but the following turn can definitely be a kill from Feline's side of the table.
For sure. Dark Depths is going to hit the table. That's a way to close things out relatively quickly. We're going to play an island, simply pass the turn back. Oh, excuse me, a Merchant Scroll. The deck is quite altered here.
Yes. Well, Feline herself is an Alterist. So not surprising to see a lot of her cards modified.
Wipe Away is what was searched for via Merchant Scroll.
So I guess Feline pretty far away from being able to combo off, wants to give herself protection against a quick Dark Depths kill. Wipe Away, a good answer to a Marriage token, and hoping to just reassemble the kill over time.
There's a Green Sun Zenith. And that is resolving, of course, as we can see Longmore's hand. No interaction, no way to stop that. Gadok T is the weapon of choice here.
Another good reason to get Wipe. Another good reason here to get Wipe Away. In the event that Michael does not make a Marriage token, well, this is still a way to get something like Gadok T or Thalia off the table if Feline is able to assemble a hand that can kill.
Pluto Delta going to come into play. This is the Sensei's Divining Top. Pass the turn back, will Longmore and over to Belfatto. Belfatto will untap those 3 lands, take a draw step. There's a Forest. This is an attack with Gadok T. Longmore going to go down to 18. Let's see what the follow-up's going to be. Tassiger. Making its way into Maverick. Making its way in everywhere, really.
Seeing a lot of it. And it's only week 1.
Yeah. Longmore going to spin the top, take a look at 3 cards. Potential to sacrifice Polluted Delta and get a clean look, but happy enough with what she's found. So just play an island. And pass the turn back over to Belfatto, who's assembled a pretty nice clock here in Gadok T, providing the disruption.
Feline's a big fan of Sensei's Divine Top in this deck, and this is the type of matchup where it's really going to shine.
Yeah.
Michael not killing very quickly, but really overloading on disruption. And Divine Top can provide a lot of help for Feline here, trying to reassemble a hand after she gets tagged with a variety of Duresses and Thoughtseizes.
There is an attack for 6. Now here's a Living Wish.
Oh,
Let's go to that sideboard.
we got a Thalia in here. It's not bad. A Thespian Stage. Probably not great to get in the face of the Wipe Away. A variety of fun ofs.
Up to and including Orzhov's Pontiff. Sure, as there is the stage. Living Wish was always one of my favorite Magic cards.
One of my least favorites.
Oh.
As a tournament spike. As a tournament spike.
Why?
Because I would never want to spend 2 mana to find a land or a creature.
I'd be happy to do that. Sounds like a great deal.
I understand it's powerful and fun. I can appreciate it as a game designer.
Okay.
But tournament spike me would never go anywhere near that card.
Yeah, you're no fun.
We're going to get a Genesis?
Yeah, maybe I am.
I guess that's fine if we assume your opponent never casts a spell.
Maybe that's exactly what I'm going to do, okay?
Sure.
Got to get my land. Make sure I hit my land drop. Get a Dimir Aqueduct. Golgari Rot Farm. That's like drawing a card. You know that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that is the slowest thing I can imagine.
The slowest thing is Burning Wish for Living Wish. Okay. We call that through the side door. There was an acclaimed deck builder in northeastern Ohio who used to do that in his Reanimator deck.
Burning Wish for Living Wish?
Yeah, Burning Wish for Living Wish for Vizara or Symbiotic Worm. That was a play that did happen across multiple tournaments. Dark Depth's a little bit bigger than the creatures I've mentioned. White Boy looks like it's going to go after the Avatar token here momentarily. Belfatto going to draw.
As bad as it's going, Feline's not got. She definitely has a shot in this game. She can wipe away the Marilla's token, or snap it rather. Wipe away the Gadok, and then whatever her hand allows her to do next turn, maybe she can go off.
Yeah.
Not inconceivable.
It will be tough, but as you mentioned, it is not inconceivable. That I will give you.
Feline is very light on resources, so she basically has to find High Tide plus Spiral in her top 2 cards.
Yeah. Not out of the question. The hand right now is Snap and Merchant Scroll. Spin the top. Candelabra, Force of Will among those cards. Sacrifice Blue to Delta very quickly. Doesn't want to draw any of those. So time to get Nyla out of the deck and shuffle away. I can't appreciate that Feline playing High Tide does have the blue sleeves.
Yes.
Always a big fan of that.
Typically wears a blue tie also.
Yeah. How about these 3? See if these help any. Time Spiral is one of the cards, so yes, it does help. Draw. Gonna cast Merchant Scroll.
So she can Merchant Scroll.
Uh-oh.
Hold up.
What do we have here? Abrupt Decay on the top. Okay, that's fine.
Sure.
I thought that was gonna be really bad news. I wasn't sure what it was gonna be, but a response from Maverick there. Longmore gonna draw. So Merchant Scroll's gonna resolve. Get a High Tide. Cast Spiral.
Gets to snap the Gadok also.
Oh, that has to happen, of course.
Yeah, so that's more mana also.
Oh, wow.
We've seen Cloudiferi's Gaia's Cradle. We're going to see another sort of this interaction with the untap your lands cards from Saga Block, along with lands that generate multiple mana.
Healthy interaction. I don't want to call it a combo. Just a healthy interaction. There's High Tide. Here's Snap. Kindly leave, Gadok. And now Sensei's Divine Top. And now Time Spiral. And we're doing it.
And Michael's deck very light on interaction, to say the least. In fact, his deck is nothing but creatures and sorceries, plus some removal spells.
Not too surprising.
So Michael is at the mercy of what Feline can do here. And with a top in play, a boatload of mana, and drawing a new hand, she is a heavy favorite to win this turn.
Time to hope the Time Spiral fails, which if you've watched High Tide before, it is rather rare.
Yeah. 2 copies of Source of Plowshares, 3 Abrupt Decays. Those are the instants in Michael's deck.
Well, it's clear Michael's prepared for a different metagame than what High Tide brings to the table. Both players are going to draw 7.
I mean, this is a man who is living wishing for Shriek Maw. It's not a matchup he's really respecting this weekend.
Turnabout among the options. Gonna use top here. I don't think the Time Spiral was that great. Let's take a look at these cards. Gonna draw. Quickly ponder. Take a look at these 3 cards. Quickly shuffle. Uh-oh. This could be bad news. Let's see the mystery card. Here's a new top. Spin it. Take a look. A couple copies of Flooded Strand, I believe.
A lot of mana.
Yeah, I believe another Wipe Away, perhaps. And when Longmore is going off of this deck, it's normally quite quick, which is what makes it so much fun to watch. But when she slows down like this, it means that she has not found what she's looking for at all.
I mean, this is just an incredible amount of mana for her to find. Only 18 lands total in the deck.
Candelabra's going to untap the manas. Top going to draw a card. That's a Wipe Away. Yeah, and that's going to do a simple turn.
Yep.
Simple, but not very effective.
Pretty rare, not even to find very many cantrips for a redraw. Just a lot of mana.
It does have a High Tide in hand with the potential to go again. Here's Zenith. This will be able to find Gaddock Teague if this resolves. Longmore could get super creative here. I think there's a Flusterstorm in hand. And I think that's what we're going to see happen. Going to cast Turnabout to add to the storm count, and then cast Flusterstorm to counter the Zenith. So that's just to make sure Gaddock Teague doesn't come into play, because if Gaddock Teague comes into play, it's over.
Yep.
Now Thalia makes things tough too, so there is that. No one said it was going to be easy.
Well, the biggest issue is now that, you know, Feline just has to do everything in one turn now because she's facing lethal.
Here's High Tide. There's top. There's an activation with the mana floating. 2 fetch lands. Going to sacrifice the one that's in play.
I still think it's possible for her to get out of this.
Yeah. With Candelabra in play, it's definitely possible. Gonna need a good top activation, but it does have a mana floating. Ponder among the cards. She has sped up a little bit. 6 mana will untap these lands. Gonna take a look at the sideboard here. Means there must be a Cunning Wish involved. Figuring out what the options are with Cunning Wish.
Now, this is a spot where something like Cunning Wish for Intuition for Time Spirals is where the Thalia is going to be too prohibitive.
Yeah. There is Cunning Wish. Sometimes we see players get a card like Meditate in situations like this. It's like going towards Intuition. So here's Intuition. I do wonder what we're searching for. Yep. It looks like nothing to find.
Yep.
Yeah, that's going to do it. So Michael Belfatto is going to win game number 2 here over Feline Longmore, which means we are going to get a third one here between High Tide and Maverick.
The discard spells, the pressure, a couple critical hate bears there, just a little too much for Feline to overcome. Though it still looked like she was going to be fine, just really, really whiffed with that Time Spiral. Not only did not find any combo pieces, but not even any cantrips to redraw with.
It was a bad one.
It was, yeah. It's as bad as it gets.
It's strange to say, you know, it's unlikely that she will fizzle when going off a Time Spiral, and then that's exactly what happened, because it is actually rather unlikely. It might be, it may have happened some other time, but this is really one that I remember where it happened because it's so rare.
Yeah.
So kind of a tough break there. And we'll say she's able to bounce back here for game number 3, however. So I think the match was pretty good.
Yes. You know, it's a slow matchup. The disruption that Michael has primarily discard spells, which Feline's build is particularly robust against. The hate bears are problematic. I mean, Michael's post-board game plan is much better than what he has game one, but I would still want to be on Feline's side of the table here, especially being on the play for game 3.
Well, these two players will shuffle up for game number 3, and we will talk about Cardboard Crack, 4 paperback books available at Star City Games.
And the fourth one, very recent, as the first 3 were so well received. The Black and White Magic the Gathering themed comic strip, now available in paperback form. 4 different books available, $12.99 a piece. StarCityGames.com/cardboardcrack to order your copy today.
Big fan of that comic strip. Do follow on Twitter. Also find it in the SCG newsletter as well. So we'll turn our attention back to the match. Longmore, you mentioned only 18 lands in her deck. Drew quite a bit of them off that time spiral, though.
Yeah, I think as she finds, really most pieces of action is going to be...
I should have turnabout it on his upkeep.
Yep.
All right, I'm inclined to agree.
Turnabout lands, not have to counter anything.
Sure, makes sense. Makes sense.
Because Michael's deck is all sorceries and creatures.
Yeah.
So turnabout is pretty close to time walk in that spot.
About as close as you can get, yeah.
Yep.
Longmore realizing the mistakes she made right away. She's been playing High Tide for a very long time, though. Able to catch those mistakes quickly.
Our former Open Series champion, though, it has been rough sailing the last couple of months.
And maybe this change in format will help. Not sure.
It seems like High Tide would be one of the decks that would profit from a Treasure Cruise metagame. There just being less counterspells and so forth, but did not play it out that way the last couple of months.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I believe 1 or 2 Open Series top 8s through 2014 with the deck.
Yep.
And the back half of the year was especially brutal.
Well, the tough part about this deck is just really no new cards.
No.
That's been the tough thing.
You occasionally get a wish target here or there, but the deck is what it is.
And the base of the deck is, kind of set in stone. A lot of cantrips, Merchant Scrolls, stuff like that. High Tide, Time Spiral. I'm not sure what kind of new card it would need to get a little bit better, but it has not really gotten a new card in a while. I mean, maybe the newest card is Preordained, potentially?
Yep.
As you mentioned, new wish targets. That's about it, though.
Right. And the only thing that's going to help this deck really is better cantrips, and I don't think Wizards is going to be printing stuff better than Ponder, Preordain, and Brainstorm for standard legal products.
Here's a Preordain to start things off. So a little scry action to begin game number 3 here for Longmore. Belfatto going to take a look at some things here. Sacrificing a Marsh Flats. Himself a copy of Scrubland, so he goes down to 19. Let's see what the follow play is going to be. Feels like a discard spell. It'll just be nothing, just a passing of the turn. So here's an island, and Longmore will very quickly pass back. Returns are ones that do not take very long. They're rather straightforward.
Play a land, say go, play a land, say go, play a land, say go, play a land, kill you.
Yep, that's kind of the plan.
What we're trying to do here.
There's Vampire Hexmage. Well, well, well.
Beat down artist.
The 1-2 punch with Dark Depth. It's been a little while since we've seen this one. Longmore will draw. Flooded Strand.
Force of Will still left in hand.
Yep. Pass turn back over to Belfatto.
No rush. We'll see probably next turn the extent of her hand. If she has a 4th land, a Time Spiral, and a High Tide, probably going to see her go for it.
Here's a discard spell to gum things up. A Duress. It's a Brainstorm response to hide some things. High Tide among the cards that look to be going back. Longmore will let this resolve. Candelabra Force of Will, Turnabout among the options here. Can't forget about Ponder and Sensei's Divine top 2.
I think a high tide was hid there.
Yeah.
From the duress.
That one's too important. If there goes Merchant Scroll. Here comes Hexmage. Longmore going to go down to 18. There is Dark Depths. And immediately putting Longmore to the test. You better have it, whatever it is. There's a top.
Though I think the card that she hid first was Snap.
I believe so. See if Belfatto's willing to go for it. Yes, sir.
You don't
Avatar
show up
token coming in.
You don't show up with Hexmage Dark Depths to not go for it.
I suppose that's true.
That's not what we do here.
Yeah. Well, this snap will be very helpful. That's for sure. Going to sacrifice the Flooded Strand, get Nile out of the deck, which means that Longmore did have to shuffle away High Tide, unfortunately, but there is Snap to take care of the 2020 Avatar token. So away that goes. Belfatto going to draw. It's time for Gaddock. Another headache. Longmore going to use Force of Will, removing Turnabout to get that thing off the table. And now there is Tasigur on the cheap, so there's the clock.
Though not nearly as threatening as Gaddock would be.
Not even close, yeah.
You got 4 turns. That's a lot of time.
Time to spin the top. Time spiral among the cards. Just no High Tide yet. Also Pluto Delta in there. Longmore going to draw. There's an island. Here's a Ponder. Take a look at the top couple. A Ponder is the new card along with the Delta and the Time Spiral. So here's another Ponder. Do it all again.
And with a spiral floating up there, just really looking for High Tide here.
Yep. You're not going to let Spiral go, and you also just don't want it in your hand against the discard deck.
Exactly. The other way for Feline to play this is just get 6 mana into play.
Yeah.
But ideally, she would find a High Tide here, and she's got a lot of time to find it.
Belfatto will draw.
But you are right, there is some awkwardness here because I'm sure more than anything she wants to avoid having the Time Spiral in hand without the ability to cast it because Belfatto has so many discard spells.
There's a Reclamation Sage. What format are we watching?
We are watching Legacy with Living Wish.
Yeah.
But this is really important now as with Feline on 12, this means the clock goes down to 2 turns, and he really needs to speed things up.
Chopped it right in half, which was very important, as you mentioned. There's a Delta. Just a passing of the turn. Belfatto going to untap and draw. Push you down to 6. All Longmore can do is shrug the shoulders. Belfatto going to play a Savannah. Now here is Living Wish. This is a Brainstorm in response. So take a look at the top 3. Flusterstorm, the new card. Delta and Time Spiral cards we've seen before. And I have to imagine there's a nice wish target there. Longmore going to cast Flusterstorm.
Yep, and this is just tap you out so you can't do anything with a Gaddock or Thalia here. And hope that she can go for the kill next turn. I believe she has the ability to find a land and a Time Spiral.
Correct. Those are the last 2 cards.
Which means she's going off from a very low base. I mean, it's just a fresh set of cards, but certainly not impossible to go off from there.
Spin top yet again. Blue Sun Zenith is the new card, but Blue Sun Zenith doesn't play a role in things right now. That's for later. It's going to take a look again just to confirm that she has everything set up the way she wants it.
Yeah, it's land number 6 and a spiral.
Yep. Take a draw.
It's an ugly spot to have to go off from.
Yeah, no, you don't love it, but you don't have much of a choice either.
Yeah.
Yep. There's land 6. Sacrifice both deltas, go down to 4 and cast a time spiral. Cross your fingers and hope for the best, which didn't work last game, but we'll see if it works this one. And she went up from a better base last game.
Well, she has sacrificed a lot of fetch lands here, and there's only so many lands in the deck, so you have to feel like, you know, it's mostly going to be substance, though these lands are getting shuffled back in. I don't know. Last game was definitely a very unfortunate set of circumstances. Where she's going off from now, much harder to win the game, but still not impossible. And Michael is total shields down.
You see the die on the island, that means it's tapping for 1 blue. When that die goes higher, that means some high tides have been cast. And 7 cards here for both players. We're on the search for some high tides here for Longmore.
That's the first piece of this. Without a high tide, it's complicated. With a high tide, even if she doesn't have spiral right now, she gets a lot of looks at it with various cantrips.
Well, Preordain's the place to start. Scry 2. Candelabra and Flusterstorm. They're going to go to the bottom. Mystery card coming. It's a copy of Force Will. That doesn't help. Now it's Ponder. Take a look at the top 3. Time to shuffle.
I think there was another spiral in there, but again, no way to kickstart the engine.
Yeah, it doesn't help. It's got to be high tide. Even Cunning Wish for high tide doesn't do it. Mystery card. Snap. There's a Brainstorm. 3 cards.
Now, Snap is not the end of the world here, as it means that Feline can get the Tassiker off the table, Force of Will the Galactique on the way back, go to 1, and have another shot at it again next turn.
And that's even if Galactique is in the hand, since it was shuffled away with Time Spiral.
Yes.
So no guarantee that that's even among those 7 cards, plus a draw step. Though Galactique is just something that just has to be on the radar at this point.
Thalia, the same
play.
deal.
Yeah.
She can still answer 1 problematic card next turn, snap the Tassiker, and try again.
There's a snap on Tassiger. And of course untap 2 lands as well. And just passing. Belfatto is untapping and drawing. It's hard to call that a failed time spiral turn because it just didn't go off from a great base.
Yeah, I mean, she could have gotten pretty lucky that turn and won.
You know, last game I think it was a little, just got unlucky and lost.
Yeah.
Going off, but this time a lot would have had to go right to get the job done as Longmore goes down to 2. So facing lethal next turn, and yeah, I had a feeling this was going to happen. Here come the discard spells. This is where things get really tough now. As Longmore does have Force of Will. Does have a card like Brainstorm to hide some stuff, but has to be wary of what can happen as there is Force of Will being cast going down to 1. So fetch lands are off the table now. Belfatto does have Living Wish in hand, but can't Living Wish for Galactique now. It's in his deck from the Time Spiral.
Yep.
So there's Deathrite Shaman. Now here's Cunning Wish.
Yeah, and just the sorcery speed nature of Michael's deck really dooming him here if he loses this game. Just not enough action after the time spiral and no way to interact during the combo turn.
High Tide was searched for via Cunning Wish. The draw was a copy of Flooded Strand, but that one's not going to help. There's High Tide. Islands will be tapping for 2 blue.
Legacy opened, and that is time.
Now a Brainstorm. Take a look at the top 3. High Tide among them. 2 will have to go back.
Players complete your turn. Then there are 5 additional
Couple of lands will go back. Another High Tide. They'll be tapping for 3 blue. It's going to have to be a good preordain, I think. There's also a Sensei's Divining Top there, too.
Yeah, so it's a lot of looks.
Yep. These 2 cards are going to go to the bottom, of course. They were both lands from Brainstorm that were put back. Sensei's Divining Top will come down. Now with the last mana floating, going to spin the top. Take a look at the top couple. Time Spiral among them. We have a winner. Draw. Belfatto looks like he may want to cast Abrupt Decay, but that's fine. This is 9 blue. Let's make it 8 for a Candelabra. Belfatto trying to show some strength here. There's a top. 7 blue left. Response. I have a feeling we're going to have an Abrupt Decay on a Candelabra, but that one's not going to matter all that much.
Not a big deal. You know, Feline can activate and respond. She's probably only using it once anyway.
Candelabra's going to untap all the lands. Longmore's able to tap for a bunch of blues, so now counting it's borderline irrelevant. Here's Time Spiral. We'll see if she can actually get the job done this time, as she wasn't able last time.
Sensei's Divine Top in play, a ton of mana.
I do like going after this here.
Yeah, this is an opportunity to get the top off the table because even if she draws a card, everything gets shuffled away.
Yep. So Decay is going to resolve. That'll take care of Sensei's Divining Top. Quick spell count as well in case Longmore has to go the Brain Freeze route.
Well, the Brain Freeze route is no good here.
It's not good because of that Deathrite Shaman.
Exactly. Michael can untap in the upkeep, activate Deathrite Shaman. So Feline is going to have to win through Blue Sun Zenith or some other sort of kill. That should not be the bottleneck here, as if she's going off with that many resources, she should be fine. But it is worth noting that Brain Freeze here without some way to make Michael draw a card in the same turn is not a kill.
Correct. These players have hit time in the match, but we're only going to have one more turn, I think, here. So this will be turn 0 of extra turns. As Time Spiral is resolving, both players will be drawing 7 cards. And Longmore failed in game 2. Will she fail here in game number 3? Brainstorm among the cards. There's the land for the turn. Has not played one yet. Picked up a copy of Flooded Strand much earlier in the turn, but being at 1 life means that fetch lands are off the table. As here's a Sensei's Divining Top. This is a Brainstorm. Take a look at 3 cards. 2 cards will be going back here. Burton Scroll, one of the cards that was found. So going to cast that one. Time to go searching. Looks like Blue Sun Zenith might be the weapon of choice.
And I think this is going to be a kill pretty soon, as Feline is going to be able to draw her entire deck and then make Michael do the same, plus 1 or 2.
Wipe Away is going to target the Candelabra. Can't respond to that, of course.
Cannot. Split second.
So now Candelabra's going to come down. All those islands are tapping for 3 blue, so they're going to all untap now thanks to the Candelabra. This means they're going to generate even more mana. Now here's the Blue Sun Zenith. Longmore's going to draw a whole bunch of cards. Probably going to leave some in her deck, of course. Doesn't want to deck herself. But we'll have most of her deck in hand.
So a lot of resources to work with.
Yep. And from there, it should be easy for the experienced High Tide player.
Yep.
Not easy for you or I, but probably pretty easy for her.
I still feel like I would win the game from this spot, but it would take maybe a few more minutes than it should.
Feline going to organize the piles here in lands and spells, as lands can't be played. Already has played 1 for the turn, so now here's a high tide. Island's be tapping for 4 blue. Another one, now it's going to be 5 blue. See, ponder and snap, and here's the top. Snap's going to snap something. And that's nice because that actually just generates a boatload of mana.
Yep.
There's another top.
Snap is casually +8 mana here.
No big deal. Here's a brainstorm.
And the snaps and wipeaways also mean that if it came up, Brain Freeze could be a kill because Feline could get the Deathrite Shaman off the table.
You see the quick movements here. When resolving a brainstorm, she'll actually just put 2 of the lands back in the lands pile instead of any of the actual spells. Found a Blue Sun Zenith. Gonna play a Cunning Wish. Go on over. Someone's looking for a capsize lock now.
So this is infinite mana here, as she can infinitely capsize and buy back the Candelabra, which is plus mana every single turn. And then, you know, do the dirty bird as long as she feels like, and eventually Zenith might go out for several thousand or whatever.
Some arbitrarily large
Doesn't
number.
matter.
Feline's demonstrating that's a loop. There's the Zenith, target you. And after the verbal explanation does take place, you see Michael Belfatto scooping up his cards,
Consulting his hand of creatures and removal spells. Seeing no help there, and that's going to do it.
Feline Longmore is going to win this match over Michael Belfatto, 2-1. High Tide will take care of Maverick, and for Longmore, 5-2.